What's up, everyone, and welcome to Up and Out. I'm your host, LaPorsche. Listen, there is so much happening in the world right now. And if we want to be very specific, I'm pretty sure you've seen the Israeli-Palestine conflict dominating headlines all across the world. But Rachel Maddow is taking us back in the past with her latest book. And I like to say, the famous quote, you never know where you're going until you know where you've been. I think it's very important to really understand the things that went down in our past. And guess what? I have one of my favorite journalists here to tell us all about it. Check it out. What's up, everyone? I have the one and only, the Advocate Channel's one of our top writers, all right? Christopher Wiggins. Welcome to the show again, Christopher. I love speaking with you. He's so knowledgeable and you are an amazing journalist. So amazing that you got to read Rachel Maddow's new book, Prequel, early. So let me know, everybody, is it good?
It's really good, actually. Yes. And it's good to be back on your show. The story is one about a period of time in American history in the 1930s when there was extremism ascendant here as there was in Germany with the rise of Hitler and the Nazis. There was an entire group of people here in the United States that was essentially trying to institute that kind of a system here. And the story is really previously untold and a page turner. It really reads like a spy novel.
Now, I am a huge history buff, and actually one of my mentors is first generation American from Germany. Her family escaped during all of that time. It's very, very interesting tales there. But I heard that you had the opportunity to interview Rachel. What did she tell you about how she came up with this specific book? Not a lot of people write about this topic.
Yeah, she said that in her day-to-day, because she does a lot of news consumption, sometimes there are things that she wonders why things are the way they are. And so she said to me that she was interested in finding out why in this moment there was a rise in right-wing extremism and a rise in anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. And so she figured that when there's one, there come the others. And so she did a bit of research for a podcast called Ultra, which ran several months ago and was very popular. Yeah. And in getting all of the information for that podcast together, she said to me that she just had so much that she wanted to tell the complete story a little more. And it really is quite something.
It's so interesting. I find that we as journalists, sometimes when we go after one topic, we find 15. I have totally been there in my career where I'm like, I have too much for this 1 minute and 30-second package, or this supposed to be short article. I could write a book. So speaking of that, she actually did that. What did Rachel say about modern day extremism? I'm very curious about that.
She said that, we have the story that she tells as a guide for how people stood in the way of extremism. The book tells the story of several politicians who got involved with the extremist movement. They were sympathetic to the Nazis back in the 30s. It talks about a whole conspiracy of people who got together and were espousing that kind of mindset. And so, what she said was that we need to monitor now that there are scapegoats being made of certain certain marginalized people, and that kind of feeds into a circle of extremism. And the thing that really she said to be mindful of is when that spills into violence, and that should be a red flag, she said.
And it's surprising that we have to read more books about this, because what we do know is that if you look back at history, that's a clear sign of what may be to come and or what not to repeat. And it seems that people are consistently surprised to know that some of what we're seeing with right-wing extremism isn't new. And I'm like, we should know that. But what did Rachel say about it? Because she has a very large fan base, so maybe people will listen to her.
She said that among other things, that it is important to know this story and that it's important to highlight anytime there's extremism in the media. Several months ago, I reported on a story, and we talked about this in our conversation, Rachel and I did, about neo-Nazis showing up in Ohio and in Wisconsin, flying flags, doing their Hitler salute, and they were all aggrieved with the fact that there were drag queens at pride events. And so, she really said, we need to keep an eye on this kind of thing, because politics in this way makes strange bedfellows. And so you have here groups that are generally not aligned, evangelical Christians, neo-Nazis, even that extremist group Gays Against Groomers, but they're all feeding off the same narrative and directing their ill towards one group of people, which is the trans community. And that's something that we have to nib in the bud.
I mean, listen, I'm very interested to read this book myself. I truly am, because it's just very hard, as you know, Christopher, to find things written by people that you can trust without maybe extreme bias. It's like, yeah, we all come with our set of biases, but like, look at this, like this really happened and there's no debating this. So thank you so much for coming on my show today to talk about this book. I really appreciate it. And you already know I cannot wait to have you back to talk even more about other things happening in this world, because we got to talk about it.
Well, I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Child, have you watched the current season of Love is Blind? When I tell you, it was giving. And I'm not even that reality TV show girl, but I was hooked. All right. Our very own Rachel Smith spoke with some of the cast, and I'm telling you, if you want the behind the scenes tea, especially with that 3 storyline, you know what I'm talking about. You already know who I'm talking about. I don't want to ruin it. You definitely want to check this out. Take a look.
I just want to be loved unconditionally.
I'm always going to think about you for the rest of my life.
Women are getting territorial.
When you love somebody, you don't just leave without telling them anything.
Welcome to Love is Blind.
Obviously, you'd seen the show before. What did you think in signing up? What was it you thought it was going to be like, Taylor? And what was the biggest surprise about how it really was going through this wild experience?
Yeah. I think I expected like everything that happened. Like, I wanted to go on for the emotional connection, and that's exactly what I got. I guess biggest surprise, the twists, the turns, like everything that happened. I don't know, like how deep we connected was also a surprise, and how fast we connected was a surprise, because I've never ever been like that with anybody before. So.
I like you better without makeup so bad.
She planned for us to both be here because she couldn't let me go.
It's a little bit awkward.
Probably was one of the most shocking, surprising, wild seasons. I would say in large part to your storyline, possibly. Your situation we've never seen on a previous episode. Did that take you by surprise?
Yeah, I was shocked. I was just as shocked as I'm sure you were when you watched it. But it was really exciting. Like just leading into it, I was really all in, very much so in love and falling deeper by the minute, with him, with Uche. So it was difficult at first to process all of that. It was just super shocking for me, but you just you got to take things in strides, like life is crazy. And I mean, I think, even in a real marriage and relationships outside of that environment, dating, you run into things like that. You run into the plot twist, you run into the things where you're like, oh, I thought it was this and now it's that. Okay, let's regroup.
Letting somebody in is really scary.
Will you marry me?
A lot of people consider dating shows like Love is Blind kind of their guilty pleasure. For each one of you, what is that one show that would be beyond surprising for us to find out that you're currently binging?
Okay. Have you ever heard of The Watcher?
Yes.
Yeah, I like stuff like that. And I finished that so fast. And I'm like, I need a season 2.
I love it.
I like Black Mirror. That show is so crazy to me. Like I can sit and watch that show all day.
Listen, always remember, y'all, love may be blind, but the facts aren't. See you tomorrow, girls.